Okay, we just hiked for about 45 minutes through the snow, pulling a sled with some of our gear. Both of our packs weigh about 40 pounds a piece, so we've got a fair amount of stuff that we're bringing in. Temperature's about -4, -5, somewhere in there. Winds coming from the northeast at about 10 kilometers an hour, so it was a really mild wind and it's coming from the right direction. When we were camping here in December and in November, the wind was coming across the lake and it was about 35 kilometers an hour, so it was very, very cold all evening and into the night. So we're about ready to clean off our tent pad, get our tent set up, move our picnic table and get our gear set up, and then we're going to set up some tarps. We're supposed to get some freezing rain tonight, so we want to be prepared for that. Okay, we've been here about an hour and we managed to get our tent set up, and when we were moving the snow to get our tent area set up, we discovered that what we initially thought might be the ground pad was actually about 2-3 inches of really bumpy ice. So we brought these closed cell foam pads, the ones that interlock, that can go down in a kid's play area or in a gym or something like that, and they're really effective for keeping the ground cold from hitting you. So we've got those going underneath the whole tent. We've set our vestibule up in here, and we're going to put something down on the ground in there just to make it a little bit warmer if we have to get up in the middle of the night and leave the tent. And we've also got a tarp set up just in case it does freeze rain. That'll keep our gear dry, and if we are sitting out by a fire tonight, if we don't get forced into the tent, then we'll be able to sit out, enjoy a bit of a bonfire tonight and stay relatively dry. And we've got another tent over here, or another tarp that we're gonna set up as a wind screen somewhere. We're not quite sure. Right now the wind's coming from the northeast, so by rights we should set it up over here to keep us out of the wind, but we expect that the wind may change and come from the lake area, and from past experience we've known that when it does come across this lake it can be pretty fierce, so we want to make sure that we don't get that wind in the evening. So right now we're just going to figure out where to set up our tarp, then we're going to work on getting some wood ready for our campsite, our bonfire. Okay, about another hour's gone by. The sun is starting to go down. We've been working really hard. Somebody was nice enough to leave the site with a whole pile of long pieces of wood, so we've been sawing some of it up, and we've got a bunch of it split and ready to go. It took us a while to get the fire going because we didn't have any really small pieces, but after we split a bunch and got it all going, the fire's going. We put our water bottles beside the fire because they are starting to freeze, so in case we want some water later tonight or in the morning, we don't want it frozen. So if we keep it somewhat near the fire, we should be able to keep it from freezing. We've got our tents all set up with our sleeping bags. We managed to use one of the thermarests that we can keep for a little pad in the front, so we're nice and cozy when we take our boots off. Tent's all set up with our sleeping bags and our pads and our blankets, and managed to secure the front of the tent down with some rocks, and we're about ready to get the fire going real good, and then we're going to put a pot of chili on it that we made the other night. So we should be eating in about an hour from now, just before it gets dark. All right, it's 5 o'clock, and probably about -6 or -7. We didn't bring a thermometer, so we don't have any idea exactly what time it is, but there's almost no wind, but we did manage to put up a couple of tarps to protect us from the wind that's coming by, and you definitely do notice a difference even though there's a very mild wind, but when you're behind those tarps you notice a big difference. We've got our fire going, and we've got a good base of coals, and we just managed to melt some snow. Even though we did bring water, we just wanted to melt some snow just for the fun of it. And got some nice hot coffee that we're enjoying, and other than that, in about 10 or 15 minutes we'll knock the fire down a bit, get a good base of coals, and start warming up our chili. and then it'll probably be dark within the hour, so we'll just see what we can do as far as light goes. Probably stay up until 8 or 9 at nighttime, just depending on whether or not we have a good enough fire and we're warm enough. But with all the clothing that we're wearing, we've got good base layers and good fleece and good ski jackets and good top coat layers. We're not cold at all, so everything's going really well so far. So next time we make a video will probably be in the morning. Okay, it's 20 after 6 and we've just cooked a big pot of chili and had a really awesome dinner. It took us a while to get the fire going because the wood is so cold and some of it's kind of damp inside, I think. But we had a really nice dinner and we've got a really awesome fire going. We've got a few lights going. We've got our candle light going, and we're just going to sit around the fire for maybe a couple more hours. It's not too cold out. The wind is really not that bad, but mind you, we've got tarps set up over on the side which are sheltering us, and we've got a tarp overhead. The problem with this tarp overhead is it is containing a lot of the smoke from the fire, so we were getting a lot of smoke in our eyes as we sit around the fire. But the tarp, I think, needs to be up just in case it starts to freeze rain later tonight. So that's about it for tonight, and we'll see what the morning brings. Okay, so it's 9:30 in the morning. Last night we slept really well. It was very comfortable and warm in the tent. Overnight we got some freezing rain and a bit of snow, and you can see a little bit of it's left on the tent, but we knocked most of it off this morning already. We've been up for about 2 hours, and we've had enough time to throw a couple of the logs on the fire from last night, but we didn't leave a whole lot. So note to self, next time when we do this, we're going to keep a few pieces back for overnight, not burn it all at nighttime, and then in the morning we can have a little bit of a fire. We've melted some snow. We've already got a couple kettles worth of snow melted and made into coffee already. So we've already cooked some sausage and some mushrooms and some onions for breakfast. So now we're just going to have a coffee and slowly start to pack some of the stuff up. It's probably about -1 degree because we had a little bit of freezing rain and almost no wind, which is very nice. And found last night when we were sleeping with those pads underneath the tent, it kept us really warm. In fact, we went into the tent around 9:30 or 10 o'clock, and we were lying in there, and we basically didn't even need to be in our sleeping bags, and we played a game of cards and before we went to bed. We burnt overnight one of these candle lanterns. We hung it from the top of the tent, the ceiling of the tent, and we found that kept a nice light during the night, so when we had to get up we could see, as well as the fact that there was almost zero humidity inside the tent this morning. When we got up, there wasn't any water dripping or anything like that. We didn't have to open any vents in the tent, so I think the candlelight was really helpful for keeping the humidity down in the tent. So we're just going to start to pack up now and start our trek probably in a couple hours from now.